Commander Olivia Daniels stood at the main viewport of Sentinel-1, gazing at the icy surface of Europa below. The orbital defense platform circled Jupiter's moon in a perfect rhythm, just as it had for the past 5 years. Earth was just a tiny blue dot from here, but humanity's reach had grown. By 2089, humans had spread across the solar system, with colonies on Mars, mining operations on the asteroid belt, and research stations on several moons. Olivia sipped her coffee and watched the technicians work at their stations. It was supposed to be a normal day. "Commander, we're picking up something strange," said Officer Paul Wright, his eyes fixed on his screen. "There's an unusual signal coming from beyond Pluto. Nothing like we've seen before." Olivia put down her coffee mug and moved to his station. "Show me." The display showed a wave pattern that pulsed in an odd rhythm. Whatever was sending it was moving fast, too fast for any known spacecraft. "Send this to Dr. Murphy at the science station, and alert Admiral Waters back on Earth," she ordered. Within hours, the signal had reached every human outpost in the solar system. At the Mars Science Hub, Dr. Alan Murphy assembled his team of linguists and communication experts. They worked without rest, trying to make sense of the strange patterns. "It's definitely artificial," Dr. Murphy told Olivia over the video link. "The math is too perfect. Someone is trying to talk to us." 3 days passed. Sleep was rare as humanity faced what might be its most important moment. First contact with an alien civilization. The strange signal kept coming, and now multiple objects were detected moving toward the solar system at incredible speeds. On the 4th day, Dr. Murphy's face appeared on screens across the solar system. The bags under his eyes showed his exhaustion, but his voice was steady. "We've cracked it," he said. "The message repeats in a mathematical pattern that gave us the key to their language. It says, 'Greetings from the Zolaxian Empire. Your system has been charted for integration.'" The words sent a chill through Olivia. Integration didn't sound friendly. Soon after, the first ships appeared. They were massive, each one larger than the biggest spacecraft humans had ever built. They positioned themselves just beyond Neptune's orbit. More continued to arrive until there were over 50 of them. Emergency meetings were called on Earth. Admiral George Waters, head of the United Earth Defense Force, gathered military leaders from every nation in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. "We need to know their intentions," Admiral Waters said, his deep voice filling the room. "But we also need to prepare for the worst." The screens in the command center suddenly lit up with a new signal. This time, it wasn't just a pattern. A face appeared. It looked almost human, but wrong in small ways. The skin was pale purple, the eyes too large, and there were small ridges where eyebrows should be. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, "I am Ambassador Vextol of the Zolaxian Empire. We have studied your transmissions and learned your languages. We come to welcome you into our vast empire that spans 300 star systems." The room fell silent as the ambassador continued. "Your solar system has resources we require. Your species has potential. We offer you protected status in exchange for your cooperation. You may keep your cultures and governments under our guidance." Admiral Waters stepped forward. "And if we decline this offer?" The ambassador's large eyes blinked slowly. "No species has declined. It would not be wise. We will arrive at your planet in 9 of your days. Your leaders will meet with me to arrange the details of your integration." The transmission ended. The room erupted in voices. "Silence," Admiral Waters shouted. When the room quieted, he turned to his communications officer. "Get me a secure line to Sentinel-1. Commander Daniels needs to be ready. And find Dr. Phillips. It's time to discuss Project Aegis." In her quarters on Sentinel-1, Olivia stared at the distant shapes of the alien ships through her window. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. And it wasn't the one they had hoped for. The emergency council room under the Rocky Mountains was filled with tension. Military leaders from around the world sat at the large round table, their faces grim. Admiral Waters stood at the head of the table, looking at the holographic display of the solar system. The red dots representing Zolaxian ships had grown in number. 73 ships now, he said. Their technology is far beyond ours. A woman in a lab coat entered the room. She had gray streaks in her dark hair and carried a tablet computer. Dr. Laura Phillips, Admiral Waters said. Thank you for coming so quickly. Dr. Phillips nodded and took a seat. I came as soon as I got your message. The main screen lit up. Ambassador Vextol's purple face appeared again. This time he stood in what seemed to be the command center of his ship. Other aliens moved around in the background. People of Earth, the ambassador said, the time has come to discuss the terms of your integration into the Zolaxian Empire. The room was silent as the alien continued to speak. You will provide us access to your mineral resources. We require the rare elements in your asteroid belt and the hydrogen compounds in your gas giants. Your planet will remain mostly untouched, though we will establish administrative centers in several locations. Admiral Waters leaned forward. And what do we get in return? You receive our protection. No harm will come to your species. You may continue your daily lives. Your governments may remain in place, reporting to our governors. This is most generous. A general from China spoke up. And if we refuse? Ambassador Vextol's large eyes blinked slowly. Refusing is not an option that has ever worked well. We give you 72 of your hours to prepare for our arrival. We will land in your city called Geneva to meet with your world leaders. The screen went dark. The room burst into arguments. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to surrender. Admiral Waters raised his hand for silence. Dr. Phillips, he said, tell them about Project Aegis. Dr. Phillips stood and connected her tablet to the display system. A complex diagram appeared, showing Earth surrounded by a blue sphere. 20 years ago, we discovered something unique about our planet, she said. Our core produces an energy signature unlike anything seen elsewhere. We've been working to harness it. She swiped to a new image showing a network of stations around the planet. Project Aegis is a planetary shield. In theory, it can create an energy barrier around Earth that nothing can penetrate. But it's never been tested at full scale. It might not work. It might have side effects we can't predict. Is it our only option? Asked a general from Brazil. Dr. Phillips nodded. Against their technology, yes. Conventional weapons would be useless. Admiral Waters looked around the room. We need to decide now. Do we surrender our planet, or do we take this risk? The vote was unanimous. Project Aegis would be activated. As the Council continued to plan, Commander Olivia Daniels received new orders on Sentinel-1. She was to return to Earth immediately to help with the shield deployment. Her shuttle departed from Europa, making the fastest possible journey toward home. From her window, she could see the Zolaxian ships moving closer to Earth. Their massive size became more apparent as they passed Jupiter. On Mars, the first signs of trouble appeared. 3 Zolaxian scout ships entered orbit around the red planet. The human settlement there had only basic defenses. Colonel Frank Barton commanded the Mars Defense Force, a small unit of soldiers and a few outdated spacecraft. He knew they couldn't win, but they had to try. All units, defensive positions, he ordered. We need to buy Earth time. The Mars colony's warning systems blared as the first Zolaxian landing craft descended through the thin atmosphere. Colonel Barton looked at the faces of his troops, each showing determination despite their fear. Today we fight not just for Mars, he told them, but for all of humanity. Back on Earth, Dr. Phillips worked frantically with her team, preparing to activate the planetary shield while Admiral Waters mobilized every available military asset. They had less than 3 days before the Zolaxians arrived in force. 3 days to prepare for humanity's greatest test. 20 years earlier, Dr. William Grant stood on a windy hill in northern Canada. His equipment beeped steadily, measuring something invisible in the air. For 3 years, he had tracked a strange energy pattern that seemed to flow from deep within the Earth. "I found it," he said to his assistant. "The readings are strongest here." That day marked the beginning of humanity's greatest secret. Dr. Grant discovered that Earth's core produced a unique radiation unlike anything found on other planets. It rippled through the planet's magnetic field in patterns that could be detected with special equipment. Dr. Grant's discovery might have remained just an interesting bit of science, but when he published his findings, a young Laura Phillips read them and saw something more. She saw a potential weapon. Now, 20 years later, that weapon was humanity's last hope. In the present day, Captain Samuel Peterson looked out from his command post on the Lunar Defense Base. Earth hung in the black sky, blue and peaceful. But the peace wouldn't last much longer. "Activate all defense satellites," he ordered. "Full power to the lunar cannons." For decades, nations had argued publicly about space weapons. They signed treaties banning them. But secretly, they built them anyway. Now, those hidden weapons were being brought online. Satellite operators around the world received coded messages. Secret compartments opened on what had appeared to be normal communications satellites, revealing laser weapons and missile launchers. Captain Peterson knew it wouldn't be enough against the alien ships, but every bit of resistance bought more time for Dr. Phillips to get the shield working. On Mars, the battle had already begun. Colonel Barton's forces fought bravely against the first wave of Zolaxian troops. The alien soldiers wore armor that made them look twice as large as humans, with helmets that hid their faces. "Fall back to position 2. Colonel Barton shouted as energy blasts tore through their defenses. His soldiers retreated in good order, using the Martian landscape for cover. The Mars colony had been built partly underground, which gave the defenders some advantage. They knew the tunnels better than the invaders. A young soldier named Eric Hill operated one of the colony's few heavy weapons. He fired a missile at an approaching alien vehicle. The explosion was satisfying, but more vehicles appeared behind it. "How long do we need to hold?" Eric asked his commander. "Until they tell us to stop," Colonel Barton replied. "Every minute we fight is a minute Earth has to prepare." Back on Earth, Dr. Phillips hadn't slept in 2 days. Her team worked around the clock, installing the final components of Project Aegis. Hundreds of stations around the planet needed to be perfectly aligned. "Power levels at 60%, one of her engineers reported. "We need at least 85% for a stable field." Dr. Phillips rubbed her tired eyes. "Reroute power from the Asian grid. We need everything we can get." In orbit, Commander Olivia Daniels had reached Earth and now helped coordinate the space defenses. Her ship joined a growing fleet of Earth's military spacecraft. "They're nothing compared to what's coming," she told her crew. "But we fight anyway." The Zolaxian main fleet had reached Saturn and continued to move inward. Earth's long-range sensors showed hundreds of ships now, far more than the initial group. Admiral Waters received the reports with a grim face. The odds were getting worse by the hour. "What's the status of Project Aegis?" he asked Dr. Phillips over the secure line. "We'll be ready," she promised, "but I don't know if it will be enough." On the main view screen, the clock counted down. Less than 24 hours remained before the Zolaxian deadline. Outside the secret mountain base, people around the world went about their lives. Many knew about the alien ships, but few understood the true danger. Governments had decided not to cause panic. Only those directly involved in the defense knew how close humanity was to losing everything. As night fell across North America, Dr. Phillips watched the power readings slowly climb. The future of Earth depended on whether they could reach 100% before the aliens arrived. The final hours ticked away. In cities across Earth, people looked up at the sky. Some could see tiny points of light moving among the stars. Those were the alien ships getting closer. In the underground lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Laura Phillips worked with desperate speed. Her hands moved quickly over the control panel as she made final adjustments to Project Aegis. "Power levels at 82%, called out Kyle Bennett. her chief engineer. "We're getting closer." "We need 90% minimum," Dr. Phillips replied. "Keep pushing the systems." Reports came in from around the world. The network of Aegis stations was almost ready. They drew power from Earth's electrical grids, from wind farms, solar arrays, and nuclear plants. Every source of energy on the planet was being tapped. In orbit, Commander Olivia Daniels watched as Earth's small fleet prepared for battle. Compared to the massive Zolaxian ships, their vessels seemed tiny and weak. But they would fight anyway. "All ships, battle formation," she ordered. "Remember your training." The Zolaxian deadline was only 3 hours away when Admiral Waters called for a worldwide broadcast. His face appeared on screens in homes, on buildings, and in public squares around the planet. "People of Earth," he began, "today we face the greatest challenge in human history. An alien force has come to take our world, our resources, and our freedom. They believe we will surrender without a fight. They are wrong." His words were translated into dozens of languages, reaching billions of people. "For generations, we have fought each other. Today, we stand together as one people, the people of Earth, and we will not bow to any empire, no matter how large or powerful." In the Zolaxian command ship, Ambassador Vextol watched the broadcast with mild amusement. He had seen this before on other worlds. The speeches, the brave words, and then the surrender. "Prepare the landing ships," he ordered his officers. "The humans will resist at first, but it never lasts long." The massive Zolaxian fleet moved into position around Earth, their weapons powered up, ready to disable Earth's primitive defenses. "Sir," one of the Zolaxian officers called out, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the planet." Ambassador Vextol frowned. "Explain." "Something is building power across the surface. It's like nothing we've seen before." Back on Earth, Dr. Phillips' team had reached a critical moment. "Power levels at 89%, Kyle reported, his voice tense. "It has to be enough," Dr. Phillips said. "We're out of time." She contacted Admiral Waters. "We're ready, sir, as ready as we'll ever be." Admiral Waters gave the order. "Activate the shield." Dr. Phillips took a deep breath and pressed her hand against the activation panel. Around the world, the Aegis stations hummed to life. Deep inside Earth, the strange energy from the planet's core was channeled through the stations, following the patterns Dr. Phillips and her team had designed. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a faint blue glow appeared high in the atmosphere. It spread quickly, a shimmering curtain of energy that wrapped around the planet. In space, Commander Daniels watched in awe as the blue shield formed a perfect sphere around Earth. "It's working," she whispered. The Zolaxian ships approached, unaware of the danger. The first vessels reached the shield and tried to pass through. Instead of breaking through, they crashed against it like waves against a cliff. 3 ships disintegrated immediately, their advanced hulls no match for Earth's strange energy. Ambassador Vextol stood up from his command chair, his large eyes wide with shock. "What is this?" he demanded. "How is this possible?" More Zolaxian ships fired their weapons at the shield. Beams of energy struck the blue barrier and were absorbed or reflected back. The shield glowed brighter with each attack, as if growing stronger. On Earth, people cheered as they watched the alien fleet struggle against the shield. For the first time since the Zolaxians arrived, there was hope. In the control room, Dr. Phillips monitored the shield's power levels. "It's holding," she said, relief in her voice. "The shield is holding." Admiral Waters nodded. "Now we see what they do next. This is just the beginning." 3 months passed since the shield first activated. The blue barrier still surrounded Earth, protecting the planet from the Zolaxian fleet. Day after day, the aliens tried new weapons and tactics to break through, but the shield held firm. Inside the protected bubble, life continued. People went to work, children attended school, but everyone knew they were living in a strange new reality. The shield was visible day and night, a constant reminder of the danger beyond. In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Waters met with his top officers. "The shield is working better than we hoped," Dr. Phillips reported. "It actually gets stronger when they attack it. The energy from their weapons feeds back into our system." "But how long can it last?" asked Admiral Waters. Dr. Phillips frowned. "That's the problem. The power demands are growing. We've had to shut down entire cities to maintain energy levels. We need a more permanent solution." Lieutenant Heather Morris spoke up. She was young for her rank, with short brown hair and sharp eyes. "Sir, I have a proposal," she said. "We can't stay inside this bubble forever. We need to learn more about the enemy." Lieutenant Morris laid out her plan. A small team would use a specially modified shuttle to pass through the shield. They would infiltrate one of the Zalaxian ships to gather intelligence. "It's extremely dangerous," Admiral Waters said. "Yes, sir," Lieutenant Morris agreed, "but necessary." 2 days later, Lieutenant Morris and 4 specially trained soldiers prepared for their mission. Their shuttle had been coated with the same energy signature as the shield, which Dr. Phillips believed would allow them to pass through safely. "Remember," Dr. Phillips told them, "your suits will only protect you for 48 hours. After that, the Zalaxians will be able to detect you." The team launched under cover of darkness. The shuttle approached the shield from the inside. For a moment, it looked like they would crash into it. Then the blue energy parted like water, allowing them to pass through. Outside the shield, the Zalaxian fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships surrounded Earth, far more than they had seen before. The Empire had called reinforcements from across the galaxy. Lieutenant Morris piloted the shuttle toward a medium-sized ship on the edge of the fleet. Her team had studied Zalaxian communications and believed this was a command vessel. Approaching target, she whispered, though no one outside could hear her. "Prepare for boarding." Their shuttle attached to the hull of the alien ship. Using special tools, they cut through the metal and slipped inside. The hulls of the Zalaxian ship were strange, with purple lighting and curved walls that seemed designed for taller beings. The team moved silently through the ship, avoiding patrols of Zalaxian soldiers. They reached what appeared to be a control room and began downloading data from the alien computers. "Look at this," said Corporal Ben Hayes, pointing to a display. "These aren't just warships. They're carrying mining equipment, processing plants. They really did plan to strip our system bare." Lieutenant Morris found something even more important. "They've conquered hundreds of worlds," she said, looking at a star map. "But none of them had Earth's unique core energy. That's why our shield works. They've never seen anything like it." As they gathered more data, they overheard Zalaxian officers talking. Though the aliens spoke their own language, the team's translators picked up key words. "They're calling for more ships," Lieutenant Morris realized. "From something called Sector 7. They're bringing planet-breaker weapons." The team finished collecting intelligence and began their return journey. Just as they reached their shuttle, alarms blared throughout the alien ship. "They've detected us," Corporal Hayes said. "We need to move now." They launched away from the Zalaxian vessel as energy weapons fired at them. Their small shuttle dodged between larger ships, racing toward the safety of Earth's shield. "We're not going to make it," one of the soldiers said as 3 Zalaxian fighters pursued them. Lieutenant Morris pushed the engines beyond their limits. "Yes, we are." The shuttle hit the shield at full speed, passing through in a flash of blue light. The Zalaxian fighters crashed against it and exploded. Back on Earth, Lieutenant Morris delivered the stolen data to Dr. Phillips and Admiral Waters. "Good work," the Admiral said after reviewing their findings. "Now we know what we're up against, and more importantly, we know their weakness." Nations that once fought each other now worked side by side. The old borders still existed on maps, but they meant less each day. Earth had a common enemy now, and survival depended on unity. In cities around the world, people moved underground. New communities formed in subway tunnels, mines, and specially built shelters. The surface wasn't safe anymore. Strange radiation from the constant Zolaxian attacks on the shield had begun to affect the upper atmosphere. In Moscow, families carried their belongings into the massive underground complex that had once been a Cold War bunker. In Mexico City, the ancient tunnels beneath the streets became homes for thousands. In Sydney, people moved into old mining networks that stretched for miles beneath the city. Dr. Phillips studied the data from Lieutenant Morris's mission. What she found gave her an idea. "We can use the shield technology offensively," she told Admiral Waters. "We can extend it beyond Earth." The plan was bold. Commander Olivia Daniels would lead a mission to establish bases on Mars and Europa using smaller versions of the shield generators. These outposts would be stepping stones for taking the fight to the Zolaxians. "It's risky," Commander Daniels said during the planning meeting. "But if we stay inside our bubble, we'll eventually lose. The shield needs too much power to maintain forever." Admiral Waters agreed. "Prepare your team, Commander. You leave in 3 days." While preparations for the mission continued, the Zolaxians tried a new approach. They began broadcasting messages to Earth, showing images of other worlds they had conquered. "See the peace and prosperity our rule brings," Ambassador Vextol's voice said over footage of alien cities. "Why suffer in resistance when you could join our glorious empire?" Other messages showed planets being destroyed. "This was the fate of those who resisted too long," the ambassador warned. "Do not make their mistake." The broadcasts were meant to break human morale. Instead, they strengthened it. People who saw the messages shared them widely, reminding each other what would happen if the shield failed. In a secure facility beneath London, Dr. Alan Murphy worked with a team of linguists to decode more Zolaxian communications. They had been intercepting messages between ships since the shield went up. "There's something interesting here," Dr. Murphy told his team, pointing to a pattern they had found. "The messages to and from Sector 7 are different. More urgent. More afraid." "What are they afraid of?" asked one of the linguists. "I don't know yet," Dr. Murphy replied. "But whatever it is, it could help us." Commander Daniels and her crew prepared their ships for the Mars mission. 3 vessels had been equipped with small shield generators. If they worked, the bases on Mars could be reclaimed and protected. The night before the mission, Admiral Waters addressed the crews. "What you're attempting has never been done before," he said. "You'll be the first humans to leave Earth's protection since the invasion began. The fate of our species may depend on your success." Commander Daniels looked at the faces of her crew. They were nervous but determined. "We won't let you down, sir," she said. Early the next morning, the 3 ships positioned themselves at the edge of the shield. As the shield opened briefly to let them through, Zolaxian vessels immediately moved to attack. Evasive maneuvers. Commander Daniels ordered, "Full speed to Mars." The human ships raced away from Earth, dodging energy blasts from the alien vessels. Their engines pushed to maximum power as they headed for the Red Planet. On Mars, the human colonists still fought. Colonel Barton and his remaining forces had retreated deep underground, using the natural caves of Mars for shelter. They had held out for months, carrying out guerrilla attacks on the Zolaxian occupation forces. When Colonel Barton received the coded message that help was coming, he didn't believe it at first. "Earth hasn't forgotten us," he told his weary troops. "Commander Daniels is bringing shield technology. We just need to hold out a little longer." On Earth, Admiral Waters watched the mission's progress with Dr. Phillips and Lieutenant Morris. "If they succeed," Dr. Phillips said, "we can start building a real fleet, ships protected by shields that can take the fight to the Zolaxians." "And if they fail?" Lieutenant Morris asked. Admiral Waters looked at the power readings for Earth's shield. They were dropping slowly but steadily. "If they fail," he said quietly, "we need to have a backup plan." 6 months after the shield first appeared around Earth, humanity was ready to take its first major step against the Zolaxian Empire. In a hidden shipyard beneath the Atlantic Ocean, engineers put the finishing touches on Earth's newest weapon. "The Defiance is ready, Admiral," reported Chief Engineer Kyle Bennett. "She's the first of her kind." Admiral Waters walked along the deck of the massive ship. It looked like a regular military vessel on the outside, but inside it held technology that didn't exist 6 months ago. At its heart was a shield generator powered by Earth's unique core energy. "Who will command her?" asked Dr. Phillips, walking beside the Admiral. "Captain Lisa Coleman," he replied. "She's the best we have." Captain Coleman was a tall woman with dark skin and a serious expression. She had commanded submarines before the invasion, which made her perfect for this mission. Like submarine captains, she knew how to fight an enemy that was bigger and stronger. "Captain," Admiral Waters said when she arrived. "Meet your new ship." Captain Coleman looked up at the Defiance with pride. "She's beautiful, sir." "She's also our best hope," he said. 5 more ships like her are almost ready, but Defiance will lead the first attack." The plan was bold. While the Zolaxians continued to focus on breaking through Earth's shield, the Defiance and its battle group would slip away from Earth and attack the alien fleet from behind. Their target was Saturn, where the Zolaxians had set up fuel processing stations. The night before the mission, Captain Coleman addressed her crew. "Tomorrow, we take the fight to the enemy," she said. "For 6 months, we've been hiding behind our shield. Now we show them that humans don't just defend. We fight back." Her words were met with cheers from the crew. They had trained hard for this moment. The next morning, 6 ships left Earth through a small opening in the shield. The Defiance led the way, followed by 5 smaller vessels. The Zolaxians noticed them immediately and sent ships to attack. "Shields up," ordered Captain Coleman as enemy fire headed toward them. The crew held their breath. This was the first real test of the ship's shield in battle. Energy blasts from the Zolaxian ships hit the Defiance, but instead of causing damage, they washed over the blue bubble that formed around the ship. The shield held. "All ships, full speed to Saturn," Captain Coleman ordered. "Don't stop for anything." The human ships raced through space, dodging larger Zolaxian vessels. Their shields protected them from direct hits, but they couldn't stop to fight every enemy they passed. Near Saturn, they found what they were looking for. 3 massive Zolaxian dreadnoughts were positioned around the planet, protecting dozens of smaller ships that collected fuel from the gas giant. "Battle formation," Captain Coleman ordered. "Prepare main weapons." The Defiance's main weapon was something new, developed from what Lieutenant Morris had discovered during her spy mission. The Zolaxian ships had a weakness in their engine design. The right kind of energy pulse could disable them completely. "Target the largest dreadnought," Captain Coleman said. "Fire when ready." The Defiance fired a bright blue beam at the Zolaxian flagship. When it hit, the massive alien ship didn't explode. Instead, its lights flickered and went dark. Its engines died, leaving it drifting helplessly. "It worked," shouted the weapons officer. The other ships in the battle group fired at the remaining dreadnoughts with the same results. Soon, all 3 massive ships were disabled. The smaller Zolaxian vessels tried to fight back, but they were confused and disorganized without their command ships. The human fleet moved through them, disabling ship after ship. In the Zolaxian command center near Earth, Ambassador Vextol received the news of the attack with shock. "Impossible," he said. "How could they develop such weapons so quickly?" His officers had no answer. Nothing in their experience had prepared them for humans. Back at Saturn, Captain Coleman looked at the disabled Zolaxian fleet with satisfaction. "Send the message to Earth," she ordered her communications officer. "Operation Defiance successful. 3 dreadnoughts and 22 support ships disabled." When the news reached Earth, people celebrated in the underground cities. For the first time, they had won a real victory against the aliens. In the command center, Admiral Waters allowed himself a small smile. "It's just the beginning," he told Dr. Phillips. "But it's a good beginning." 1 year after the Zolaxians first appeared in Earth's solar system, a new message came from their fleet. It was not from Ambassador Vextol, who had been called back to the Empire's central worlds in disgrace. Instead, a new face appeared on screens around Earth. "I am High Ambassador Kelvor," the alien said. "I have been sent to resolve this situation." Unlike Vextol, who had always seemed angry or annoyed, Kelvor looked worried. The victories of Earth's growing fleet had changed things. In the past 3 months, human ships had disabled or destroyed over 100 Zalaxian vessels. "We wish to open peace talks," Kelvor continued. "This conflict has gone on long enough." In the command center, Admiral Waters watched the message with Dr. Phillips and other leaders. "They're asking for peace now," General Martinez from the South American Alliance said with suspicion. "After they tried to take our world." "They're losing," Admiral Waters said simply. "And they don't understand why. That scares them." The Earth Council debated for hours. Some wanted to keep fighting until all Zalaxian ships were driven from the solar system. Others saw an opportunity to end the conflict without more bloodshed. In the end, they agreed to meet with High Ambassador Kelvor. The meeting would take place at a neutral location, a space station positioned halfway between Earth's shield and the main Zalaxian fleet. Admiral Waters and Dr. Phillips were chosen to represent humanity. As their ship approached the meeting station, Dr. Phillips looked nervous. "Are we doing the right thing?" she asked. "They came to conquer us. Can we trust them now?" Admiral Waters watched the stars through the viewport. "We're not trusting them. We're giving them a chance to accept reality. There's a difference." The meeting station was small and simple. A round table sat in the center of the main room, with chairs for both humans and the taller Zalaxians. High Ambassador Kelvor arrived with 2 advisors. He was older than Vextol had been, with paler purple skin and a more thoughtful expression. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting," Kelvor said as they all sat down. "This conflict has been unexpected." "You mean you didn't expect us to fight back?" Admiral Waters asked directly. Kelvor's large eyes blinked slowly. "In 3,000 years of expansion, no species has successfully resisted the Zalaxian Empire. Your shield technology is unlike anything we have encountered." Dr. Phillips spoke up. "We don't want war. We never did. You came to our home and demanded we surrender." "Yes," Kelvor admitted. "That was our way. But perhaps it is time for new ways." The talks continued for 3 days. The Zalaxians offered Earth a place in their empire as equals, not subjects. They would share technology and knowledge in exchange for limited access to resources in the outer solar system. Earth's representatives made a counteroffer. The entire solar system would remain independent, a sovereign space that the Zalaxian Empire agreed not to enter without permission. A neutral zone would be established beyond Pluto as a buffer. On the final day, High Ambassador Kelvor signed the treaty. It was the first time in the Empire's history that they had recognized another power as an equal. "My superiors will not be pleased," Kelvor said as he pressed his hand to the document. "But they will accept it. The alternative is continued war that we cannot win." Admiral Waters signed for Earth. "Tell your superiors that we have no interest in expanding beyond our system. We only want what is ours." "And if other worlds seek your help against the Empire?" Kelvor asked. Admiral Waters looked the alien in the eye. "That would depend on how the Empire treats them, wouldn't it?" 1 month later, Captain Lisa Coleman stood on the bridge of the Defiance. Her ship had been upgraded and improved. A new mission patch on her uniform showed Earth with a shield around it. "All systems ready, Captain," her first officer reported. "Course is set." Captain Coleman nodded. "Take us out." The Defiance moved away from Earth, passing through the shield which was now maintained at lower power. Beyond the shield, where Zalaxian ships had once threatened, there was only empty space. The Empire had withdrawn as promised. The ship accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. Its mission: to explore beyond, to find other civilizations, to show that humanity had earned its place among the stars. Message from Admiral Waters. "Captain, the communications officer said. Captain Coleman read it and smiled. The message was simple. Remember who we are. Remember what we fought for. Earth is not to be trifled with, and our realm is defended.